Welcome, residents, to Dr. DC's podcast.
Good.
Well, hold on.
God, you've been gone for a week and a half.
My name is producer Richard.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And
Across.
oh yeah, that's the one. Across from me is the physician himself.
Turn and cough.
Ooh.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna bend over and swallow.
Jesus. You got to stop going to that doctor, man.
What is that? Not the way that you measure pants?
There's a lot of layers going on there. Goodness.
It's been over a week since we've done this. I don't like it.
All the podcast muscles have atrophied.
Yeah, I'd hug you, but then you'd know that I could show love, and then I could feel love back in return. That just won't work.
Yes, and as this past week has reinforced, sincere praise or acknowledgement of anything is really awkward for you.
It really makes my skin crawl, especially if I can't respond to it.
We recorded a bunch of stuff a couple of weeks ago because you were going away.
Yeah.
And this is the first time we're sitting down to record since then.
Yeah.
And in that time, Doc Scored listeners
know
this,
I think, yeah.
know about this, but everyone else doesn't. We received what's called a tribute in the Yukon Territorial Legislature, which is essentially the government formally congratulated us on winning a Canadian Podcast Award.
What's the American version of it?
Which means it's entered into like the record,
Yes.
right? Because like it's the
Public
it's
record,
the
yeah.
legislature, so they record everything everyone has said forever.
Yeah.
And it's in there now that more than one government official has said we did a good job.
What's the American translation for this?
I mean, it would be like, I guess, someone like
From the governor's office?
no,
What?
it would be like someone in Congress getting up and reading something, yeah. Or no, I guess it would be like in a state
Yes.
Congress.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, yeah. But still, that happened, which was lovely and very nice. Richard was so awkward. Like literally, we were like sitting with like one of the ministers, and he was talking to us and stuff like that. And the minister couldn't say anything without Richard being like, man, like make a joke. It was like it was more jokes per minute than the podcast.
Look, I was trying to give him a taste of what he's paying for.
He knows, he listens.
I know.
Apparently
know.
the premier now also.
Oh my God. Yeah, so our governor listens to this.
Yeah, if you're in the States.
Yeah.
The governor, yeah.
It's so stupid.
It's pretty wild. The craziest part for me
Oh, yeah.
was that
The transition?
another group was being
Acknowledged.
that day. It's the centenary of using the poppy as a symbol of remembrance. So a bunch of veterans were there. And so there was a lot of speeches from the different parties.
Because there was only two. They did them,
Yeah.
and then they
So they were
immediately
talking
started
about
ours.
valor and
Yeah.
sacrifice
Mhm.
and freedom.
Yeah.
And et cetera, et cetera. All those things that you
Yada, yada,
associate-
yada.
all those things you associate with remembrance and veterans and things like that. And
Their
then it was like-
sacrifice.
and then it was like hard pivot to podcasters.
But it's not even like, had they been like, thank you, now we're going on to our next one, that would even be better.
Yeah, it's just because there is no like, and now the next trip, they just like go from like legislator,
Like they go to
legislator, just who's talking,
Yes.
and then when they're done talking about that one, they go to the next one. But there is no transition,
because that
right.
next person can either talk about the same thing that the previous person
I mean,
talked
they
about.
all know what the
Yes.
order is because there's like
Yes.
an order of whatever the word is that you
Yes,
call it.
but the viewing and listening
But if you're
public
just
do
like
not.
viewing or like listening, it's just there is no transition. Someone just goes, and we thank them for their bravery. A little bit of silence, and you're like, the Minister of Community Services. He just gets that starts talking about comic books and talking about
Yeah,
us.
it
was
wasn't this exactly, but it was basically like, end their sacrifice. Bang, pow! This and other superhero stuff happened in the Dr. DC podcast.
it was listen.
It was very nice.
It was lovely. It
Yes.
was such so grateful for it. But I think we did both have a moment where it was like,
we shouldn't be here.
well, and then I briefly was like, man, we should have gone first, and then I was like, no, that's worse.
No, yeah.
It's worse to put veterans second.
Yeah. Though our minister, the premier, the entire time as our tribute is going on, is just shaking his head.
It was fun. It was cute. I was very It was lovely, like honor to get. It was I will admit, I also get awkward when people are saying nice things. So I was sort of like, I literally, you could probably still see the dried blood. I dug a fingernail under my other fingernail while we were sitting there, because I was also kind of like, yeah, it's just, especially because we just do, it feels like we're just doing something shitty.
Yes, because we are.
But it was very cool. It was a neat thing. It was like the day you got back from your trip too. So
that day,
we had not seen each other.
No,
we saw each other. We went and did that.
Yeah, and I was busy that whole day, so we barely saw each other.
Yeah,
period.
That's true. Yeah,
we just saw each other dressed up nicely, and then we went to this thing.
Yeah,
and it was very sweet.
It was lovely. So thank you, Minister. Thank you, Premier. Thank you to the third-party House leader who did the tribute on behalf of both opposition parties.
Yeah.
Appreciate that as well.
Who focused on our other things that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was great. We touched on a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Horror comic books.
So, come.
Come with me.
End of song.
Yeah, that's about as good as a transition as we're going to give.
It's the special. We do this every year. We're talking about, instead of picking a horror comic,
because I couldn't do that,
and talking through it, because Richard is not only paralyzed by praise, he's also paralyzed by choice.
Yeah, it's analysis paralysis. I can't. I don't like it. And also, I think here's the thing with especially with the classic DC horror books, it's hard to even one book isn't one story. There's so it's hard to go like, this is the one I want to read.
It's not really. You just pick one.
No, I don't like that.
Knowing that there will be more years and more opportunities to talk about things. Oh God, we didn't discuss this, did we?
Oh no,
we will be continuing into 2022.
Oh, that might compete with some of my plans.
I'm going to tell you this right now because
it's going to really bump up against some ideas I've had.
I'm going to tell you something right now because I don't want to forget it. Mm-hmm. It was my wife and I's fifth anniversary on the same day that we got the tribute.
Yeah, the lesser important of that day.
I know. We got in the car after, and I was like, now let's go do something today that isn't about me. But we were out at dinner, and we were just we were like, wow, it's been 5 years. Like, that's a fun milestone, 5 years married. And then it's like, where do you think we'll be in another 5 years? And I said out loud, I think we'll finally be done Ghost Facers. and she said, you're just gonna fill it with something else, though. And I was like, we'll probably start watching Walker.
Yeah. Oh, come on now. It's not that bad of a situation.
But yeah, that made me laugh.
That's very funny. Yeah. So,
sorry, back to it. DC horror comics. So
yes.
You've picked up a bunch of horror and horror adjacent kind of comics in the last little while as you've been basically holding up comic book shops cross country.
Yeah, we'll talk about it more on the double dose this week, but I did a bunch of comic book shopping, and I got a bunch of. I really fell in love with the classic horror books.
Yeah.
And, like the 60s and 70s stuff, especially.
Yeah, I know you. I think you've got some. Yeah, Unexpected, some Witching Hour, stuff like that. And at any rate, we split up. Kind of a pile of sort of random assorted comics, and we each read some. We're not going to go through them, but just to generally talk about some of the horror offerings from DC, largely from, if I'm guessing, late 70s, early 80s,
early 70s to late 70s. I think a couple of things I have in here are 71. One might even be a 68, but
sure. Yeah,
I think you've got a little bit later of stuff in that collection than what I have.
It looks to me roughly
Yeah.
mid to late 70s, but yeah, it's probably a little all over.
But I think like this one is specifically is like 71.
that
I
one
think
looks like it's 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this one specific is like 71.
Sure, yeah.
And I think this witching hour.
I think it's a good era though, because I think there you do get a lot of like other genre stuff.
Yeah.
happening.
Well, yeah, and you took some sci-fi stuff too.
But funnily enough, it's sci-fi stuff that is kind of sort of leans a little into what I'd call not like scare horror, but it has
Twilight
a lot of,
Zone-y kind of eeriness.
it definitely has. It's eerie sci-fi, yeah, for sure.
I think the thing that drew me into the DC horror stuff is the art. It's the I love the look of these like 70s horror books so much. Like it feels like pulpy. It feels like dime store book, like paperback novels.
Totally, that's exactly, yeah.
And I something about like I want to frame all of them. Like I love them so much.
Yeah.
Then even reading them gave me like a whole other like. There's so much to talk about. But what is your experience with the like DC horror stuff? Have you really ever read any of it?
I mean, I have, but it's certainly not like the bulk of my my reading.
Yeah. Is there anything like canonical?
I mean, I'm not much of like a horror guy generally.
Yeah, I mean,
like there are things that I've read because I think they're important, or movies I've seen because I wanted to see them, or because they're on, because it's a Halloween party,
or it's supposed to be just a good movie,
or it's just supposed to be a good movie, or whatever. So like, I do take in horror. I'm definitely not like, I don't avoid it, but it's just not my like. If someone was just like, there's a new horror thing, I wouldn't be like, I gotta get it.
Yeah,
that's not my mode. I don't think I actually had any until I was like way more into collecting again.
Yeah.
So I would have been like fully an adult, and then kind of, and I honestly, my gateway in is probably Swamp Thing.
Oh, totally, yeah.
Not just modern
That's
Swamp
really
Thing, but
on the edge.
going online and reading the first appearance of Swamp Thing from House of Secrets, whatever, the 92 or whatever the issue is.
So there is some canonical
and
stuff.
Reading that and then being like, oh, this is so much like fucking Frankenstein. You know, like all the gothic shit. Because that first appearance, it's not even Alec Holland. The character's name is Alec Olson. It takes place like in the 19th century. It's got this very like Victorian kind of vibe. Like it really feels like classic horror literature kind of thing. And it's not like a action thing. No one gets punched. Actually, that's not true, but it's like the shambly mass looking in through the window and like, she can't know. You know, like it's the sad, it's this very kind of sad, like melancholy thing. And then I was like, oh fuck, I like that. And that is literally like right in the middle of this era from which we have now these comics, right? So I think that was my first time where I was like, oh shit, like I like this.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, really that book is not connected even, I mean, it is technically, but it's so not a superhero thing. Swamp Thing in general is not really superhero-y, even in modern comics, but it was something about reading that one, and I was like, oh fuck, I just love the sort of, I love the way it was written. I love the sort of poetic kind of dialogue. I liked that it kind of was like narrated like the shambling mass walks away once more. You know, like that. Like I love that. I love that sort of like Poe,
like Vincent Pricey kind of.
If you could hear like classic narrator sort of thing, I really dig on that. And so there's a thing I enjoy about that. And then so going and reading these, even though they're not all like that or anything, because they're written in the same era, and it's just, you know, it's the same kind of like you're opening the comic, you're turning the pages. There's so much like the comics I got from my dad, like the ads. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this fucking ad, you know, like that kind of shit. And I just had a really good time. I really enjoyed reading some of these. And I just like that, you know, some of these have 2 or 3 stories in them, and they're not all winners.
No.
Some of them are fucking lemons, but like some of them are also like short and sweet, and you're like, oh shit.
Some of them are very problematic.
Yeah, I mean, I read one that I would argue is technically not, but is a little.
I have one specifically that I'll talk about, but the question I wanted to ask was, like, besides Swamp Thing, has there any other like canonical character come from these types of books?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, I mean, yes, almost certainly. Like I think the Kanan. So I have a bunch. The ones that I borrowed from you.
Yeah.
A bunch of them are from this Secrets of the Haunted House.
Yeah.
And all of these are like narrated by Cain and Abel.
Oh, is that the Secrets of the Haunted House sort of like thing, right?
And Cain and Abel, like those two specifically, like even the way they're drawn, show up in other like horror books and other like DC stuff.
Oh, that's fun.
And almost certainly other things have crept through. Swamp Thing is obviously like such a big one. Yeah. I can't think of anything else offhand, but like these kind of books that are like anthology things, even just, I can't think of one specifically from Secrets of the Haunted House, but even ones that are more like, you know, mystery in space that you handed me. And these are the ones that are sci-fi, but kind of on the eerie side. Like this one is like space gremlins.
Yeah.
And it says futuristic fantasy that will chill you. So they're clearly like going that way.
Yeah, totally.
This is the thing I wanted to talk to you about on mic. You gave me Mystery in Space 104.
Yeah.
Which on the cover features Ultra the Multi-Alien, a character that does jump into main DC
It looks
continuity.
a lot like another character.
This, he's not Metamorpho, but he has the kind of...
and a little bit like Animal, Vegetable, Mineral Man. Like,
yes, yeah, exactly. He is not, but Ultra the Multi-Alien, he is a character in DC. He's jumped into other continuity. In this in this comic, they live in a world where like humans also can live on Mars.
Yeah,
that sort of thing. The thing I wanted to bring up is, you'll notice at the top here it says featuring DC's newest bizarre hero, Ultra the Multi-Alien.
Yes.
You gave me issue 104. Issue 103 is the first appearance of Ultra.
Oh.
You are, and that's why I said you're going to be both excited and disappointed when I tell you the news about this comic. Yeah, you almost. For a second I was like, "Oh shit! Do you think he like? I wonder if he knows what he gave me."
I'm gonna ask him just to keep this book.
No reason. It's nothing.
Just like it.
But but yeah, so that was kind of cool. But yes, you know, like Strange Adventures is where
well, yeah, of course, yeah.
Strange Adventures is where Animal Man makes his first appearance and then jumps into other things. And some of those were just the kind of genre, even if they weren't horror, but a lot of characters from those genre books would jump into other things. You know, you think of those old war comics or Western, you know, like Haunted Tank or like shit like that works its way into like the superhero continuity too. I wouldn't be surprised to learn that other kind of one-off things that have at least been referenced in other things.
Totally. So do you want to talk about some of the books and some of the stories that you got from them?
Yeah, sure. Well, listen, we were just talking about it. I do want to talk about this Ultra the Multi-Alien one, and since it's sort of the furthest from it, let's start there.
Sure, yeah.
So it's Mystery in Space 104. There's a lot going on in this issue, but the thing that resonated with me is basically the Ultra the Multi-Alien. He's Earth. They call him an Earthman, space like a astronaut, whatever.
Sure.
His name is Ace Arn. And he in the previous issue gets sort of like caught in the crossfire of the ray guns of 4 different aliens. And they all hit him at the same time, and something happens, and it transmits the alien properties of all 4 of those aliens into him.
Oh, wow.
So, like, he's literally like torso left side, torso right side, leg left side, leg right side, one of each of the 4.
Yeah.
So he's Ultra the Multi-Alien, and Ultra is like an anagram of all the different aliens, and then the A at the end is Arn. He was like, my Earth name.
Oh my God. I love that.
But in this issue, there's like a mist that's like, it's funny because he goes to Earth and he sees his old girlfriend, like, or wife or whatever in the window, and this is the bit that got me, is it made me think of that Swamp Thing.
Yeah,
because he's at the window and he's like, but she can never know, and he's like, find another husband. Like, so he's talking to himself. He's like, and I was like, okay, I can fuck with this. It just gets into silly kind of like sci-fi stuff where they're watching the news and they're like, oh, the Volpe County on Mars has a mist on it. It does that kind of like 60s, 70s sci-fi thing where they're like,
we know what the future is.
well, but they go like, wait a minute, they're not on Earth. They wouldn't call it dollars. They'd call it blip blop.
Yeah.
Like, I paid 50 blip blop for that.
Yes.
Like, it took me 7 loop loops to get here.
Yeah.
They do that stupid shit. Like, just say hours. It's fine.
Yeah.
Or say Earth hours.
Yes.
So there's what you have to get through a bunch of like that kind of shit. But basically this mist is like impenetrable. You can't get in or out. And inside it, these random aliens are enslaving Martians.
Oh, okay.
And the Martians are yellow. I don't believe them to be the same yellow Martians as appeared in old Wonder Woman stories.
Sure, yeah.
That then kind of got folded into that Steve Orlando Martian Manhunter thing. But you could make the argument appearance of the yellow Martians.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I got to go to Jupiter to see if this shit is happening there too. And he goes to Jupiter. Jupiter just looks exactly like Earth. It has ground and grass and tree. Like they're not doing like, oh, it's Bespin. Like, it's just like, yeah, whatever. It's another fucking planet.
Yeah. It's just literally Earth's in the corner, and it's like X'd over, and then wrote Jupiter underneath.
It is. You can see kind of like I got a kind of vibe of like how hastily this must have been written, and that kind of just made it more charming.
Yes.
So he goes there and he stops some shit there, and it turns out it's this Plutonian. Can't trust them. That's why you're not a planet anymore. Scientist named Dr. Taxo or something like that.
He's an accountant.
Yeah. But it was cool the way they visualize Ultra's like new alien powers is that he has to use them out of the parts of him. Like he has like literally like an electric leg.
Yes.
Like electric kick. Like he doesn't say that, but it's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
He has like a eagle claw leg, so he can just fly. He doesn't have wings. But you're like, bird leg, sure.
Yeah.
Like the one side of him is strong, but all of him is strong. But you're like, really, it would just be like
the one arm. Yeah.
But it's kind of, he has magnet powers as the other one. So he used like an attract thing and a repel thing. So it's kind of like, it's cool, it's interesting, but I love the idea that he goes back, he looks at his girlfriend, he goes like, no, she'll never know. Move on. And he leaves and he's like, I shall be a hero of the stars. Like he literally goes, when they're like listening to the thing where they're like, Volpe County is under a mist. He goes, this could be the first case for Ultra the multi-alien.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, sure. And at the end, he goes back to Earth for no reason.
Well, he needs to become the...
And everyone there is like, great job solving that case, Ultra. And his like girlfriend or wife is like, really good job. And he goes, and he leaves. And she goes, it's almost like he knew me.
Oh my, of course. He was as distant as my real husband was.
Yeah, get yourself a new husband. The most important thing a woman could do.
Yeah, God. What, is she going to be husbandless?
But I think, this story is the furthest from horror of any of the things in the pile.
Yeah.
But I like those moments that made me
it's like
feel
swamp
like
thingy.
the swamp thing. That kind of gothic horror, romance kind of thing of like, but the monster I've become, no, you can't see me like that. Like, don't look away. It made me think of like that shit. And I was like, okay, like that's enough for me to be in.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Love it.
There's definitely like a sensibility, I think, to just genre writing in this era. And even if it's not horror, it feels like they were all kind of borrowing, like, this is sophisticated.
Yes.
Like they're all aiming for it. Some are landing and some are not.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
They're heading in that direction. So what about that second sci-fi book?
I mean, it's, listen, surprising nobody. It's pretty much what you expect it to be. They are everywhere, and you cannot escape them. Gremlins!
Sure.
It's got a slight vibe of, what do you call it? Terror at 20,000 feet.
Oh.
Twilight Zone thing.
Yeah.
It's not like the...
You could tell all of these were trying to be Twilight Zone.
It's not like the no one believes thing. It's just more like the the design of the.
Yeah. All of these books want to be that.
Of course.
Like, I mean, they're right on the edge of it, right? Because when did Twilight Zone start? Like 60 something?
That was in the 50s, wasn't it?
Was it? Yeah, it could have been even. Yeah, maybe even the 50s.
But yeah, I mean, they're definitely all riffing on that thing. So yeah, the design of the gremlins is like these like little it does tap into a little bit of that horror in space thing, not as refined as what we get in like Alien eventually, but like there are elements of that where you're like, yeah, this is fucked up. I don't like this.
Yeah.
I read that one further back though, and so I don't remember it as well.
Sure, yeah.
But that was kind of that one. Do you just want me to go through my whole pile, or do you want to go back and forth?
We can go back and forth.
Yeah. Why don't you do that? Because then I've got a bunch that are sort of from the same kind of class of
Sure.
thing.
So I'll start with the problematic one.
Sure.
So this is the oldest one that I think I have here. This is the DC Unexpected series. So this was, I think there was 2 stories in this.
Right.
But
a white man's asked to sit at the back of the bus?
No.
What is this, upside down world?
It's a different type of problematic. So there is a mentally challenged person in this.
Oh no. Oh no.
So the kids are playing in the snow with this like mentally challenged, like I would say adult, but acting like one of the kids.
Sure.
The one thing it is doing right is they're just treating him like he's one of the kids.
Great. Lovely.
Yeah.
Love that.
That part's really good. And the problem is there's a cranky neighbor who basically is like, their ball like gets into his yard. He gets really mad. He like chases them out. He's like he literally says at one point, like, if I had a gun, I'd shoot you all.
Oh Jesus. Does he call the one guy like Boo Radley or something?
No, but they steer pretty. They call him like simple at one point.
Sure, which is I think about as polite as that era allowed.
100%. But they very much like the way they I'll pull it out. The way they draw him is definitely not doing him any favors.
Oh no.
But they're basically like, this guy's a dick. They really don't like this old guy, and he's like basically.
You mean like the neighbor, not the.
Oh shit! Ah, fuck! I ripped it. That sucks.
Rookie.
I don't know. If fucking tape sticks, man. So they. Oh yeah, no. The first story in this thing is like just like a prison story. It's really fucked up.
It's Oz.
I mean, not far from it.
Wait, really?
It's basically like there's a they start this story by a bunch of the prisoners have like a cat that they are taking care of.
Feels like it wouldn't be allowed.
It's not.
Okay.
And so one of the prisoners rats them out, and the warden comes in and is just like, you got a fucking cat. And they're like, well, how would you know that? And then they find out that it's this one prisoner. So then they go to kill that guy. And the guy's like, warden, save me. And he's like, all right, I'll put you with the other fucking rats. And then he gets there and he's like, oh God, he's like, how do I stand out now that I'm with all these other rats? And so he's like, I'll rat on the rats.
Oh, Jesus.
So then he decides he's going to do that. But then at night, all of them figure that he's going to do that anyways. And so they all like beat the shit out of him, take him into this like underground tunnel, and then leave him there. So then he goes to escape. And as he's escaping, they had told the warden that he was trying to escape. And so he shows up. And he's like, why are you trying to escape? And he's like, no, but they put me down here. And he's like, well, I don't know. He's like, well, I did all that good stuff for you. He's like, all right, I won't execute you, but I'm going to put you back in the other cell. Jesus and then the story ends with, and then the other guys just killed him.
Oh, Jesus. That's a real we ran out of pages kind of ending.
Oh, a lot of these are definitely like, So here is the story I'm telling you about.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, they kind of have I mean, this is an audio medium, but you sort of drawn like ooh.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the best I can do to translate the visual.
Yes. Yeah. That's the only way you could describe that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I would have expected.
Yeah. So they ended up being like, so the guy like throws them because they were trying like playing hide and go seek or something around his house. Guy throws them out on the street, and then the next day they're like playing ball. They leave the ball like ends up they're playing like snowball or something like that, and the ball, no, it's football, and the football ends up in that guy's place. It bounces like on the street, lands a bunch, and then ends up in that thing. And so the guy's like, well, fuck you, I'm taking the ball. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're not gonna get away with it. I'm gonna take your ball. And then he takes one of the kids and like, because the guy's trying to take the ball back, he like takes one of the kids and like fucking like grabs him, throws him inside of his house, and like it's
oh Jesus.
Then
he abducts a kid.
Yeah, well, because one of the kids tries to. He takes some bottles from the guy's trash because they're gonna sell them for 30 cents, and the guy's like, "Well, you stole from me," and he's like, "But you were gonna throw it out," and he's like, "You stole my money," and then he puts a sign on a kid that says, "I stole money from Mr. Fletcher," and then it's like,
oh Jesus!
So they're just like, "Fuck this guy." So they're like, "Oh God, I wish this guy wasn't here." The next day, the guy's not around anymore. And they're building this snowman, and they're all having lots of fun, and they're like, oh, weird that old man is not a problem anymore. And then they all go to their homes, and late at night, the challenged guy comes over to one of the kids' house and was just like, hey, like, I got something to show you. And they're like, why do you have the snowman? And he like puts him in his house by the fire, and it thaws out, and he killed that guy.
Oh no. Oh no.
And so the kid rats the guy out to the police.
Oh jeez Louise.
And
why is this the issue of rats? This is a real fucking no snitching issue of the unexpected.
Yeah. So he's like,
oh right, there's the cover with the snowman.
Yeah. So he's crying.
Good Lord.
And they're like, well, yeah, like we got no choice, but we gotta like call the police. And as the police is taking away the mentally challenged guy, he's just like, but what about my friends? And the cop's like, oh, you'll see them every visitor's day.
Oh,
and that's how the story ends.
Oh my God.
Spooky.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's sort of horror in that like someone gets killed horrifically.
Yeah.
But geez Louise.
Yep.
My God. Are all of the issues of the unexpected like that?
No, that was the worst one. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Poor Jimmy.
Oh. Go, my friends.
Because literally he kills the guy because the one guy, he says he's like, I'm going to send you to the police. I'm going to take you away from all your friends. And that's why he kills him, because he's like, you're going to take away from all my friends. They show
it feels so lazy to be like, oh, Jimmy doesn't know right from wrong.
Yes. They even show him like going to sleep in like a garage. Like,
yeah. And it's funny that they're like, well, you killed someone, Jim. Time for the electric chair. Or like whatever the fuck. Instead of being like, well, we went into that man's basement and it turns out he's kidnapped and killed a bunch of kids. So you were right, Jim. You're a hero.
Yep.
You know, like instead of turning it around, they're like, nope.
This is bad. That's a lot of these stories. Is just like right's right and wrong's wrong. That's all that matters. It's a lot of these stories.
So what is there like a general vibe to the unexpected, or is it all just kind of generically eerie spooky, or does that title seem to have like an angle? Is none of it like supernatural? Like those two kind of things that you read me are just sort of like real world eerie, scary. Are all of them like that, or are some of them like ghouls, goblins?
Some of
shit
them
like that.
Some of them are definitely more ghouls and goblins.
Right. Okay.
I find that it's less like connected the way that I think the Witching Hour tends to be.
Witching Hour is a little more like narrative. Yeah.
It's still for the most part like just random stories for sure. They're a lot more bonkers.
Right.
Are
there any highlights from I think you've got like what 2 or 3 issues of the unexpected there, other than the ones that you've already described. Are there any kind of highlight stories?
One of the thing I find the Witching Hour is a lot better written than Unexpected. They clearly had somebody who really liked to use a lot of big words in the Witching Hour, which is interesting.
Love that.
This is definitely a little bit more sort of like short story.
The lugubrious mass.
Yes. Like someone was really having their fucking day with it.
Yeah.
Which I really liked. But there's some weird shit in these books. I think the first story in this one is interesting because it's basically like a sea captain who wants his son to be who wants him to get into the sea captain trade, but his son just wants to put his nose in a book.
No son of mine.
Yeah, and so he's like, just come on one of these trips. I love this story because it ends so fucking crazy. But basically,
like the dad is like, come on a trip, you'll fall in love with the sea.
Yes, he's just like, come on a trip, you'll fall in love with the sea, you'll really like it.
She's a cruel mistress, but she's.
And as they like get on the boat, he's like, also there's got these fucking idiots who also work on this boat. Fuck these guys. You'll learn how to control them. And all the people who are on the boat are just like, we fucking hate this captain so much. So
right, so the captain has brought his kid onto like a mutiny waiting to happen.
Yes,
yeah.
Okay. And what we also find out is that there's a shitload of gold inside of the ship. Also,
Jesus.
So the all of the like sailors decide that they're going to have mutiny and take over the ship and kill the captain and the son. And suddenly, out of nowhere, a giant sea monster shows up.
Like a kraken or something different?
It's like a giant octopus. Yeah, it's kind of a kraken. Yeah,
sure.
It's sort of a kraken.
Right.
And they're like, holy shit, well, what are we going to do? And suddenly, but then the monster just disappears. And they're like, oh, well, I guess it's fine. Back to killing. And
game on.
Yeah, basically. And the captain goes, well, you don't have to kill me. Like, if you just care about the gold, like, just take the gold. Like, it's fine. And so they take the gold, they get on a little boat, and they start going off towards this island, but they can never get to the island. They just keep going and going and going, and they can never get to the island. And the captain's just like, why? Like, oh, it sucks that we're gonna get a lot of shit for giving them all that gold and stuff. And the son's like, oh, there was no gold in there. And they open up their thing, and there's just sand in there. And they're like,
check it before you get in the
Well, no, they did, and they were like, we checked. This was gold.
Okay.
And the son's like, well, yeah, I did that. I made them imagine it. And the sea captain's like, what do you mean? He's like, oh, it was all imaginary. He's like, the giant monster, the gold, I did it all with my book. And then there's a book that says, making people see the non-existent and other magical feats from mere
that's what the book is called.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's like this gigantic title, but it's basically like
Deus Ex Machina, the book.
Yes, but it's like, it doesn't explain, it's not magic, it doesn't explain, it's not like science, like,
right, he just read like,
he's just like, it was my book, and he's like, oh, okay, and then the story ends.
So would you say that he did it all for the bookie?
Worth it.
I love that. See, Dad, reading.
And he's like, you're right.
Because knowledge is power.
Yeah, that's it.
Unlimited power.
It's literally all it was.
It's so fucking crazy.
And there's...
Oh, that's so dumb. I really like that.
It's really stupid. I liked it a lot.
I really like that.
And then the only other story is...
What possibly could be the trick?
I don't know. How do you make a monster appear?
To induce collective mass hallucination.
Including the captain and all of the sailors. I don't get it.
Don't thank me. Thank the book.
Thank book.
I love the idea that the title of the book has to explain the whole
story
too. How to make a sea monster show up
and fake treasure.
Turn your gold to sand.
Yeah, in case there's a mutiny.
But don't do it with your words silently. Yep.
Yeah. So there's one other unexpected book I want to talk about. It's so fucking crazy.
All right.
So you'll see it's the one that's based off of the cover here.
Okay, so yeah, who said 13 is unlucky? It's my lucky day. I inherit my uncle's fortune, and it's this guy sitting by lamplight and a crazy looking fucking girlfriend, standing with him, and like the Grim Reaper behind them both.
So the
Please tell me the Grim Reaper is the uncle.
That would be very funny. No. So
Jinkies, he was doing it for the insurance money.
So basically that's what this is. So
Ruh-roh.
So it's literally like burying the lead, this story. So they start the book by, hey, there's a guy who knows when everyone's going to die, including himself.
Ooh, that's interesting.
And he's got a book that everybody's name on it and when they're going to die.
He grew up on a ship.
Yeah. He's got this book.
He loves the sea.
And you show him walking down the street. And then a guy he walks by a guy has a heart attack and dies.
Sure.
A guy who saw that happen looks at it and goes, "Hey, what's that guy writing down when that guy died?" Grabs the guy's book and he goes, "Oh, there's names on this. He must know when people are going to die."
Right. Not that he is killing them and recording
No.
their deaths.
Immediately goes to, oh, this guy must be able to tell when people are going to die. He's writing all the names down, and that's how he knows when people are going to die. So he's going to go to people before they die, and so then he can write down their name and cross the names out.
Right.
Immediately, just by seeing a list of names and a guy that died. Doesn't know the guy that died at all.
Right.
He just puts it all together.
As you do.
Then he immediately goes,
I think the facts are pretty clear.
Yeah. His next step is, give me that book. And you're like, oh, he's going to check when he's going to die.
Right.
No. He then skips to a name that he knows. It's his uncle. He's like, oh, my uncle's actually going to die tomorrow. Fantastic.
Love that.
This is great. He goes, perfect. My uncle's really rich. He was going to give me his fortune anyways. But I'm really hard on my luck right now. I just lost a bunch of money betting. Now I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to get all this money.
Right.
Sure. Perfect. So he goes, but before I get all that money, I want to get a little bit more. So he then goes to a bookie or like a mobster, and he goes, hey, I want $1,000 to celebrate how much money I'm going to get tomorrow.
Jesus Christ.
So he takes $1,000 from this guy.
Like he's betting $1,000 that his uncle will die. Or
Not even.
Like
no, he just asked for $1,000. He's like, don't worry, I'm going to get a shitload of money.
Sorry, he just got $1,000 loan, but not for a specific bet.
No. He just went to a mobster and was like, "Give me $1,000," and the guy's like,
But you're going to get money. Never mind. Keep going.
Oh, I know. So he's just like, all right, but like, I'm like mob, and
it's me,
mob, and he's like, yeah, don't worry,
don't make me get book.
Don't worry, I saw a book. Everything's gonna be fine. So then
a guy collapsed in the street. I took another guy's book. I'm pretty sure I know what I'm doing.
Yes. So he then so crazy. So then he goes to his wife and he's like, I got a bunch of fucking money.
Sure.
And she's like, you got $1,000. That's a lot of money.
Yeah,
this is great.
Are there any strings attached?
Yeah. Don't worry
Silence.
about it. Yeah. Let's go out for dinner. And she's like, great, because tomorrow I'm going to have a baby. So they go out
Did he not know that?
He did.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, great job hiding that.
So they go have dinner, and then he waits all night, and he's like, all right, 12 a.m. Oh, he's not dead yet. I told his nurse to call me when he dies.
Jesus.
So then I
want to make sure my fingerprints are all over this suspicious death.
Yeah. So then he's like, his wife's like, shit, I'm like midway through the day, he's still waiting, and his wife's like, I'm having this baby right now, and he's like, all right, I just really want this money. So then he goes to the hospital, and he's just like, what the fuck's going on? The wife's going through labor. So then eventually he calls his uncle and was just like, hey, you're alive? And he's just like, yeah, is that why you're calling me? He's like, yeah, I gotta make some other calls. Then the doctor comes up to him and is like, hey, BTW, your child's dead. And he's like, oh, yeah.
I was going to name the kid after my
yes.
uncle. Yeah, motherfucker. Son of a bitch.
And then the book ends by, oh, yeah, he still owes that money to the mob. They killed him. I love how flippant these books are with people's deaths.
I love that the guy could piece together correctly the book's purpose, but then forgets. Wait a minute, there are two people with this name.
I love that. Also, he takes out $1,000.
I'm about to get a bunch of money. I better go into debt.
I better get some more money.
It's just...
That's like finding out you're going to inherit a peanut factory, and you're like, but I need some peanuts to like get me until tomorrow when I get that peanut factory.
Yeah, better get a tin.
Yeah. It's like, you can't wait.
Hey, you just rolled up the rim. You want a truck? It'll be delivered in a couple of weeks. It's like, I better get a lease on a Corolla until then.
I better celebrate getting this truck with a new truck. I love that story so much.
And also just like, oh, right, the baby's name.
Oh.
Fuck. Also so dark.
I know.
Jesus, a baby death? Good Lord.
I know. So, what do you got?
Well, this is the craziest thing.
Yep.
I know it weakened over time, obviously.
Yes.
But these books still have the Comics Code Authority thing on them. They're like, oh, baby death?
Fine.
Is it like a comically insane way for a guy to die? Yeah, sure.
Yep.
So I got a bunch of issues from you of Secrets of the Haunted House, and in one case, Secrets of Sinister House.
Yes.
I gotta say, we haven't talked about it a lot, but I love these covers.
They're so good.
I love the kind of like, I don't even know what the technique is, what you'd call it. They kind of feel like pastel. Like they're very kind of soft. Like there's not a lot of like hard lines.
Oh yeah, very 70s
or outlines or anything. And I really dig the look of it. I mean, that's how House of Secrets looks. All of those kind of books are
I love it. I love them so much.
Yeah. So there's a bunch. A lot of these have 2 or 3 stories in them.
Yeah. Yeah. All of these unexpected have like 2 or 3.
There's a few that stood out that I want to talk about.
Tell me.
One is this guy. He's kind of like fat, but he's an incredible shooter.
Yeah.
He's like a mob, like tough, basically.
Oh, I didn't say. Sorry, I didn't say the numbers of my books. It's number 78, 185, and 150.
Oh, sure. And here we've got Secrets of the Haunted House 5, 8, and 16, and Secrets of Sinister House 14.
Yeah. Sorry.
So there's this guy. He's kind of fat, but he's like a mob tough. But
Sure.
he's this real good quick draw, and he's sort of daydreaming about like, man, if I was born 100 years ago, I'd have been more famous than Wyatt Earp. I would like.
Oh
he's
yeah.
going, like I could have been the quickest draw ever, but whatever. I'm just some fucking mob schlub.
Yeah.
No one's even gonna remember me. Whatever. And he goes to do a hit or whatever, and the guy's like, I'm gonna go to my desk. And in my desk is a gun. And this guy's like, I'm pretty quick. And the guy goes for the gun in his desk. Fatty quick draw.
Yeah.
Blows him away. And he goes like, yeah, fast. And immediately, like a fucking like Grim Reaper death demon shows up. He goes, I know who you are. You're death. And the
Not like holy shit.
And the
Death incarnate.
And death quick draws him and shoots him. And that's the end of it.
What?
It's like a 3-page story. But I just love, there's a panel where you see this big kind of cloud. It's sort of red and black, and there's a skull, and he goes, I know who you are. You're death.
Like, that's it.
The exact same weird logic jump that's in a lot of these. It does feel like campfire stories a little bit, where it's just like, and he knows because we got to keep the story moving.
Yeah. Because it doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah. That one.
That is bonkers. No, like, it's not like a spooky twist. It's just like, you may be a quick draw, but you can't beat death.
Yeah.
It's like, no one ever thought he could.
It's a real, like, Devil Went Down to Georgia.
But it's not like he's like, I'm so fast, I'm the better than death.
And also, like, this is not the first guy this guy has killed. Like, there's no explanation of, like, why death came for him then.
Did he have a sai, too? Because that would be really funny.
I don't remember actually.
That'd be very funny if he like has the sai in one hand and he still shoots with a gun.
It's like, I mean, there's a funny thing where it's like it almost feels like the Spectre a bit, where there's like that sort of poetic justice kind of thing to it, which I kind of enjoyed. But that one made me laugh.
But also, like, death doesn't usually kill people; like, he usually reaps them.
Yeah,
he's like, yeah, I'm coming for this guy, but fuck this guy.
Yeah, that's true too. Do you know what? I'm thinking this story doesn't hold up.
We should call somebody. I want to reprint.
There's another one that I really liked that kind of starts with these two couples. Reading it, the setup of it feels so much like you're meant to, like they wanted to write about swingers, but they couldn't.
Oh, that's funny.
Everything about it feels like swingers. You're like, yeah, we always get together. It's you and you and you and you. But the premise is that they're always trying to summon a demon to do something for them. And they're like,
like stick a finger in my ass.
Because, well, if someone would, we wouldn't need a demon.
Yeah, jeez. There's just like 4 of us. We just need a 5th.
Gerald.
No. Talk about Gerald's game.
Jesus. But like they're like they seem to research like specific demons and they treat them like patron saints, where it's like this demon will do this for you. He'll give you like
this one will suck you off like you've never believed.
yeah, to completion.
Yeah.
It's like this demon will give you wealth, or like this one will kill your enemies. This one, like, so they're always, you get the sense they're always trying to summon a demon.
It's very supernatural of it.
Yeah, kind of actually. You know, and they're very kind of suburban. They've got kids, and they're like, okay, kids, go in the other room.
Oh, that's fine.
Like that's the other thing. It's like you kids go upstairs, and like the adults are going to stay down here, and then they draw a pentagram.
A demon.
They talk about how like what if the demon turns on us? It's like, no, the demon can't escape the pentagram that you summon it in. Kind of like that's a lot of supernatural kind of shit there. And this guy goes to, I don't know, it's like
Mommy and Daddy are having a blood orgy.
He goes to like a bookstore or something, and he finds this. He picks out a book. He looks at it, and he goes, "This must be the only copy of this ever."
Based on nothing.
I've never seen this before. This must be the original.
I like that every time he sees a book, he thinks that, though. I'd never heard of this. It must be the only one.
He pays a ton of money for this book, but he's like, this is the demon. It's going to work. He brings it home, and he's like, honey, I did it. And then the other couple comes over. The kids go upstairs, and they're talking about it. He reads it, and he's like, we're going to summon Abaddon, the Prince of Hell.
Yeah.
Like that sort of shit. And he's like, all right, cool. Dig it. Love it. They draw the pentagram. They put their keys in the bowl. They they lay out the tarp. They do the ritual, and for the first time ever, it works.
Oh, wow.
And the demon appears, kind of like looking different than the description in the book.
Yeah.
But sort of appears out from the floor, blah, 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 but it just keeps going up and like up through the ceiling, and they're like, oh shit, it can escape up. It didn't like and they go, the kids are upstairs. That's where the nursery is, blah, blah, blah. They run upstairs, and the kids have a pentagram on the ground. The kids have summoned the demon. And their first thought is like, now the kids can tell us what to do.
Seriously?
And that's kind of where it ends.
They're not like, oh, demons exist. That means maybe like hell and heaven exists. Like, we got way bigger problems going on here, but the biggest issue is like, oh, now Timmy won't do the dishes.
There are so many like nuggets of a good idea.
Yeah.
And then it does that.
I do like it's like, oh, you little scamps.
Oh, so funny. There's one more that really stood out for me.
That's so fucking funny.
That I think you'll appreciate for being like a weird take.
Okay.
Okay, hang on. There's a couple of layers to this. It starts with these people that are like, whoa, there's a ship out there. And they go out and they're like, no one's on the ship. And then they go, let me tell you a tale of why no one is on the ship.
Oh.
Right? So you kind of start with that, and then you kind of go back to
what happened.
So the boat, he's this captain or whatever, and he's kind of cocky. Too sure of himself. I've sailed these seas.
Oh, he deserves to die.
and he like runs aground or some shit, and there's a hole in the boat, and he has to fix the boat. And so he goes to start pulling planks off a different, just kind of shipwreck kind of thing to use to patch the boat. And this old guy comes out of nowhere and goes, "I wouldn't do that if I were you." You're like, and he's like, "Why?" And he's like, "They say this boat be cursed." And then you get another Inception layer of the story where you go back to find out why that boat is cursed. That's why the extra boat is cursed.
Oh my God, that's really funny.
And it turns out it was a slaver ship. And at one point, for reasons, as they put it in the book, they decided to dump their cargo in the sea.
You'll understand why that happened because of this other story.
Yeah. Cut to under the sea 50 years earlier. No. So like all of these slaves got drowned in the ocean or whatever. And then it said that their ghosts came and they took anyone on that boat and they drowned them in the sea and they took over the boat, and it was a ghost ship. And anyone associated with that boat, people that built it, people that like did anything with it,
or if you use any of that boat,
all of them were done. So there's this part like Ship of Theseus thing where it's like if you use the boat, it becomes like haunted, technically you are using that boat. So
because how much of that boat counts as that boat?
So there's a kind of that thing going on. But the guy just patches the boat anyway. And literally it's like the last two panels, they're like, and guess what? Slave ghosts got him. And you see these like ghosts with like shackles and stuff.
Oh my God.
Take him off the boat. But I just couldn't get over that. It's like, there's like 3 Inception levels where it's just like we just see an empty boat, and then the narrator's like, "Let me tell you why," and then it's like, "I need to patch this boat," and he's like, "Let me tell you why you shouldn't." And you just keep going deeper into the structure.
Like, wait a minute, how do you have slaves? Well,
because we never go back to the first layer.
Oh my God, I love that.
I loved it because it was just such a weird way to write a story.
That is incredible. I love that.
Also, just very like flippantly being like slave ghosts.
You know how they be. Yeah. Slave ghosts be like, "Woo."
And then you cut to they weren't actually slave ghosts. It was just that kid with his book.
Yeah. Oh my God. Book saved us.
Oh, it's a different book. It's How to Manifest
the Slave Ghosts
and kill people via Ship of Theseus
and make friends and and win at life. Yeah.
So those were the stories that really stood out to me from those ones.
From the haunted secrets of the blank.
Very, very much, partly Twilight Zone-y, partly feels like campfire stories, feels like shit that would be on like Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yeah.
Like those kind of kid, kind of like spooky stories. Or do you remember like this, it's just called Scary Stories, the one with like the bugs in the diner. Do you remember that?
Yes. Oh,
and it was always
Mr.
Just,
Bumpy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was always just like, and it turns out it was a monkey. Whoa. Like they just feel like such low rent things, but they're drawn. I got to say, the art is great.
Yeah.
But we haven't spent too much time talking about that sort of stuff, but like the art in these is terrific.
Yeah, I really love the
like
art.
the look of that demon that the swingers summon is like amazing. The looks on people's faces, the rendition of like the slave ghosts is really creepy. It's quite good, actually.
Yeah.
Enough that you're like, yeah, all right. But then when you like sit down and you talk about the story, you go like, well, that doesn't make any sense. But it kind of it works in the way that spooky stories work.
Yeah. I love that. All right, I'll talk about some of these witching hour books.
Yeah.
These are my favorite ones.
Sure.
What I love about the sort of framework for both of the witching hours that I have here are that it's all about like witches telling the story.
Right.
And so the other one is more about like a group of witches. This one's about like one single witch who's sort of like telling you the tale a bit, but not really like leading you through it, but more of just like it's the bumpers for the stories and stuff like that. These little mini stories. So like the first mini story is like this witch and her like henchmen, I guess, are like gonna go to a masquerade party,
right?
And one of them is like, I'm gonna look like Anne Margaret.
Sure.
Another one's who's like I want to look like Wonder Woman, and then the witch says, I wanted something different, like a witch doctor. Decides that so she puts on the mask and like sees some kids and goes like booger, and they're like, all right,
Sure.
so then she takes off the masks and then they see her real face and they go, oh my god, a horrible monster.
That's pretty funny.
But the first fucking story
Sure.
of this book, oh I love it.
By the way, the ad on the back of that Gliders ad,
Yeah,
that's on the back of a bunch of the ones that my dad like that. I
you've
willing
seen
to
it a
bet
bunch.
that came out the same year as a bunch of like the comics I got from my
Love
dad.
it. So the story of this is who'd dare slaughter my daughter? Don't worry, there's a fun twist at the end. So it's this like god, like turn of the probably like 1910 1890s kind of era.
Sure.
And this guy wants to marry this very rich like dilettante woman. And the mother's just like, well, I won't just let you marry my daughter unless I know that you're of wealth.
Yeah.
Because incest is the only way that families dealt with back then.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that there's like a direct line to our family at some point.
Yeah. Well, you're not her sibling, so
But
I'm gonna need to see your bank statement.
I'm gonna need to see you get caught in a dryer first.
Yeah, which back then is just the clothesline.
Yeah. Oh, mother, I'm stuck in the clothesline. Help.
He's accidentally pinned his hand
Yeah.
to the clothesline. Like, oh, I'm stuck.
So this guy's like, shit, I need to prove that I'm like of wealth.
Right.
So he goes to this like family like tracer guy who's basically like, hey, is my family, because first he tries to do it legit. He's just like, hey, is my family of wealth? And they're like, actually one of them was like a bank robber, like
Right. You're actually like a family of ill repute.
yeah. This is no good. And he's like, okay, well, what if we didn't find that information out and we found something else? He's like, sure, pay me $25,000.
Jesus.
Which in like
Back then,
I
good
know,
Lord.
it's so much money. And the guy's obviously
fucking highway robbery.
yeah, the guy's like, this is insane. He's like, look, you're marrying into this fucking rich family. Like, it doesn't matter. He's like, I'll even take payment after. Totally fine.
The family's probably not even rich because they're aristocrats at the turn of the century. They're probably washed up fucking lords like Downton Abbey.
Yes.
Ugh.
And he goes, awesome. Let's do it. Then as he leaves, it's they set it up like it's like the turn of the century, but there is telephone, so it's hard to tell.
I mean, telephones were invented in like 1890 or something.
Yeah. So maybe. So that ends up as the guy leaving, the like family tracer person calls the wife that this guy's trying to marry.
Okay.
And he's like, hey, he just left. He's gonna do it. And she's like, perfect. Which is weird. So then he goes to the family and he's like, so here's my family records. And the mother's like, this is fantastic. Exactly what I wanted. Perfect. Like, that's great.
Yeah.
And just as the mother is saying that, she then goes, hurry, to the daughter, who then grabs a giant fucking axe from the wall and cuts the husband's head off.
Okay.
and she goes, perfect. Just like we planned. And you're just like, wait, what? Wait, why does it matter then? Like, why did you go through all of that stuff? And she was just like, well, like, I it's so stupid. She's like, she basically is just like, mother never would have let me do this if like he wasn't of like wealth or something. Like,
wouldn't have let her kill him?
yes.
So it's like so they're just baiting rich people to kill them?
Yeah, but they also knew that he wasn't like,
But they don't want his wealth because they don't actually get married anticipating that they would get the wealth when he dies, right?
yep.
Well, this makes even less sense.
Yep.
They're just killing wealthy people, but also not getting their money.
Nope.
Right.
It like what's okay, because it gets even weirder. So
it keeps going.
oh yeah, no, it's not done. Because so they're basically like, yeah, they're like, so like they kill him, and then oh yeah, here it is. So yeah, so they chop his fucking head off, and then the cop shows up.
Hello, hello, hello. Thought I heard an axe swing.
Yeah.
Everything all right in here, ma'am?
She was, yeah. So, okay, yeah. Leaping Lucifer, the hideous homicidal streak that surfaced in the family resulted in a 500-year-old warlock's curse.
Okay.
They don't explain that.
Sorry, they got a curse after that? Or the curse is that they are doing that?
I think the curse is what maybe brings the cops? I don't really know. But then the cop shows up and is like, oh, now I know what happened to your first 3 husbands, lady. And she's like, I told you last time they left me just like he did. And then
but do they get married?
No.
So then how does
I
this
don't
work?
know.
This is a bad plan.
And then the cop goes, well, what did you do with their bodies? And she goes, well, of course, we dissolved them in the cellar in an acid pit. We couldn't leave them lying about, could we? It wouldn't be neat.
An acid pit in the cellar?
Yep.
Jesus, fucking Walter White.
And she says, Mama, never. I do. Yeah, she's like, oh, I can't believe the mother killed these guys. And she's like, Mother would never. I do the killing. She just likes to watch.
I mean, that is...
Comics Code Authority, baby.
That is bewildering.
Yep.
None of it makes any sense.
It doesn't. You're correct. It does not make any sense.
I don't even get what the plan is.
Me either.
And what's the curse?
That came out
She
of
got
nowhere.
away with it.
Well, no, the cops showed up, so...
It's one cop. She just killed her fucking husband. Kill the cop.
Yeah, ACAB, baby.
It's one cop in Britain at the turn of the century. What's he going to do? Be like, oh, no. Oh, me bicycle.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, he's just a stupid fucking Irish cop.
oh, they would never trust the Irish to patrol London streets.
Yeah.
You kidding me? Send them to the colonies.
All right, so the second... Oh, I actually really like this story.
All right.
So this is the Witching Hour. So the one I just read was Witching Hour 83. This is Witching Hour 19.
Okay.
So best cover of them all.
Great cover. Really cool.
Love this cover.
I loved like the lamp light effect and like going through the slats of the shutters. It's
really
a
well done.
Really cool cover.
So
yeah, that's dope.
This story begins So this story begins with it's like a tour of like a manor, like a big like fucking mansion, like gothic sort of mansion,
right.
And they're like, oh, like welcome to the fabulous palace erected by the multimillionaire Cyrus Randolph. And they're like doing a guided tour, and the tour guide's like, don't touch anything, don't go under the ropes or anything like that. Like, only stay with me and follow me and blah blah blah. And this one guy's like, he's like, any one of the things,
I'm gonna fucking touch everything.
Yeah, he's like anything that I could fucking take, any trinket would fucking set me up for life. He's like, so I'm gonna fucking skip under this road. I'm gonna steal something.
It's like a weird, risky plan.
So he's like,
so many ways for it to go wrong.
He's like sneaking around. There's like random other security guards in the house and like not even in the tour parts. And he's like sneaking past them.
Right.
He's like, I totally fucking got this. So then he like opens a random door, ends up falling down like a pit, landing in this like cavern in the bottom of the place. And you're like, all right, this is when the spooky stuff's going to happen.
Right.
Then he bumps into what looks like a lurch / Frankenstein,
right,
and like a small old man.
Okay.
And we find out that the small old man is Cyrus Randolph, the millionaire.
Right. Okay.
And his like henchman, and he's like, I don't fucking like people anymore. He's like, but you seem cool.
I don't like people anymore. That's why I made all these rules when people come to my house. You broke all of them. I like that.
Yeah. That's like the Seinfeld when he just starts like telling his boss to fuck off. And like,
it's the Steinfeld. Yeah. George keeps trying to get fired. And he keeps getting promoted for his like chutzpah or whatever.
Yeah. So this guy's just like, he's like, I fucking like you. He's like, I don't know how you got in my cavern, but like, this is how you get out. Unless you just want to like spend the night.
Do you want to watch TV or something?
That's basically what he's like. And so the guy's like, all right, you fucking stay with Lurch over here. He's got an extra bed. Oh, oh, by the way, like this door over here is where my dead wife is. And it's like inside of like a...
I would tell you not to go in there, but I bet you wouldn't listen.
Yeah.
God, I love you.
He's like... So she's like in like a Sleeping Beauty type like glass coffin
Sure.
type thing.
Yeah.
And there's like a giant like Aladdin size like gem on like a crown on top of her head. And it's like all the lights coming off of it.
Right.
Basically writing in light, steal me.
Yeah. Remember, stay out of the psionic wave.
Yeah. And so he's just like, but hey, want to check out my dead wife? So they take him into this room where the dead wife is, and next to the dead wife is this very old man sitting next to the dead wife, like on the
different
floor.
old man.
Yeah,
not
different
the millionaire.
No, this is a different old man, and he's like, yeah, this old man is Jonas. He's her devoted servant, and he's always taking care of her.
Yeah.
And so he just stays here with her even in her death.
I feel like I know where this is going.
I'll be curious if you do. So.
Can I guess it right now? And then you can keep telling me the story?
Yeah.
They need a replacement for Jonas because Jonas is too old and this guy's going to be like trapped there serving the Ice Queen.
Yes.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yes. So basically... So the guy, like, he's like, all right, so this is where you're going to sleep. He's like, let me know if you got any problems. He's like, I'm not going to fucking sleep.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you can have any beer you want as long as it's Corona.
Yeah, because you hear your family.
Yeah.
So he's this is also an Italian
my
restaurant.
wife, Letty.
Yeah. This guy is also bald. So so he's like
Back in my day, I didn't follow the rules either.
So the guy obviously sneaks out of the room.
I live my wife a quarter mile at a time.
He goes to go steal the fucking jewel from this lady's crown.
Of course.
Sneaks into that room and he's like just getting the jewel. Just as he gets the jewel, he ends up dropping it, and the old man that's protecting her gets up and attacks the guy.
Sure.
They end up getting in a fight, and he fucking kills that guy.
Kills the old guy?
Yeah, he kills the old guy. And just as that happens, the millionaire and his fucking lurch show up, and they're like, what the fuck's going on here? And he's like, look, I know you just met me, and you know this guy his whole life, but this guy came after me. I just heard something going on, came to go make sure that your wife was okay, because I care so much about here. He's like, I would never do that. And they're like, but you got her jewel. He's like, I wanted to put it back on here. I would do anything to protect her. I would spend the rest of my life protecting her. And they're like, perfect. They're like, and they close the door on him, and they're like, you'll get regular meals. Peace out. You're in here for the rest of your life.
Jesus Christ.
Which, yeah, I kind of love it. It's a very like...
I like it.
It's very like Viva Forever.
Yeah, I mean, Viva Forever, I feel like scarred you more than it should have for a Spice Girls music video.
I mean, for a Spice Girls music video, yeah, there should have been no scarring.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. But yeah, there's a bunch of other good stories in that book, but that one's probably my favorite one.
I love that. Like, I don't really like people. You're the exact kind of person I would dislike, disrespecting the rules of my own house. Do you want to like have a beer?
It's balls like that make me the millionaire I am today.
Yeah, your balls make me rich.
I want to be rich with your balls. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's so funny.
So that was the witching hour.
I remembered a story out of these secrets of the whatever that I forgot about. That is relatively short, but it's that there's this very like attractive woman. She works at this auction house,
and then she does.
She does like the and we'll start the bidding. And all of these like you see like I don't know what the name of the outfit is, so I'm sorry being culturally insensitive, but you know those very like stereotypical like Saudi Arabian like you see this guy go like 800,000 francs,
like sheiks kind of
kind of like that sort of thing. He's like all these people like yelling money amounts. She goes like who's going to win blah, blah, blah. And then you see like she goes to someone and says like we want to like auction this thing, and then you see she has a sort of like there's a panel of her like hooking up with him. You see like she does whatever she has to make money at the auction, and then she gets pulled aside by the auctioneer and it's like, that last lot, that was just you. You snuck something onto the thing. We wouldn't have sold that. It's not worth anything. And she goes, am I in trouble? And he goes, no, you're worth too much to us, but just don't do it again. She goes, I would never do it again. And then weird time jump. We cut to something else, and she goes to the Middle East with one of these guys.
Yeah.
to sell stuff at their auction, and she decides, and he's like, "You're going to sell all these things, and you're going to sell this other lot in the other room." And they open the room, and he's like, "You're going to sell the Emir's 43 wives." And she's like, "I don't sell people." And he goes, "Oh, by the way, that thing you pulled, we added a lot, and it's you. We sold you." And then she's like, "End of story."
Oh,
like, that's it.
She didn't realize what she was selling, and it was her.
Yeah. It's so like flip. It's basically just like, this woman was too hot and greedy, so she got hers.
It's like she wasn't even greedy though. She was just doing her job extra.
Well, no, because it was like implied that the extra lot, like she was taking all of it, like it wasn't fully going through the auction. Like it's that kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. So she deserves to be sold into bondage.
Yeah. Incredible.
So we also each took
a modern
DC horror comic.
Very modern.
Extremely.
Like this month.
Is this only just out?
I think
really?
so.
I thought this was
Refrigerator. I know for sure this one is just fresh.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, there you go. This is a third printing. This is not just out.
Okay. That one's older.
But at any rate, I
can't believe it's a fucking...
You got a refrigerator full of heads, #1.
Yeah.
And I got Nice House on the Lake, #1.
Yes.
So mine is not one of like the Hill House like horror ones. It's a Black Label.
Holy shit! That book came from fucking. It wasn't. It's a third printing. It came out in June.
Yeah, there you go.
A third printing since June. Holy shit!
It's popular, man.
That's crazy. It's a lot in just a few months.
So yeah, this is first issue of Nice House on the Lake.
Yeah.
Have you read this one?
No, not yet.
Okay. I was like, oh fuck, I'm into this.
Yeah. So one of the comic book shops that I went to, he recommended this one and the refrigerator full of heads.
So it starts with you're following this one character who is mostly just referred to as the artist, but her name is Ryan.
Sure.
And it starts with her saying like, oh, we always, like, he and I always met up. We always had these fun conversations. He was into me, but he never made it weird.
Yeah.
Like, we were just cool friends. We talk about, like, what apocalypse would you, like, survive in and shit like that. And you see some dialogue of them meeting up. And then, you know, they talk about, we'd have these crazy long texts. Which movies are you watching? Like, that sort of stuff. And then she goes, and then I didn't hear from him for a long time until I got the email. You see the email, and it's basically this guy invites Ryan and some others to come to his lake house. And then you see all of these people arrive there. And Ryan gets there, and people are like, have you seen this place? It's fucking giant. It's huge.
It's like The Invitation, it sounds like, yeah.
It's this like massive like place. Yeah. This one guy is like, there's a movie theater downstairs, and the seats are warm. I might just orgasm continuously there. Someone is like, oh, you're just gonna keep coming in your chair, and he's like, yeah, you're gonna have to peel me out of there all sticky and shit. But people are just like, man, this place is amazing. There is no signal out here. There's no other houses on this lake. It's incredible. Holy shit, this is gonna be a fun weekend.
Yeah.
And everyone has been like assigned like a name and a roommate. It almost feels like the setup of like a murder mystery party.
Yeah.
So Ryan is called the artist, but there's also like the painter, the writer,
Sure.
or like there's like the writer, the musician, the mathematician, the whatever. And they're all kind of assigned like a symbol, which you see on the cover.
Oh, okay.
And a name. They're set up with like different, you know, there's the engineer or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they're all kind of chatting, and no one gets signal. And then the guy, Walter, finally shows up, and he's like, we got food, we got beer, get to know, you know, each other, all that sort of stuff. But Ryan manages to get signal while at this house.
Oh, okay.
And there's like a 2-page spread of like the Twitter feed or whatever. And it's like, New York is gone. The fires won't stop. Blah, blah, blah. Like,
oh my God.
I'm taking my skin off in sheets. I don't even feel it anymore. Don't pop the boils. It makes it worse. Like,
Oh my god.
they're like, the president is dead. I just watched Anderson Cooper burn alive on TV. Like, it's like 2 full pages of like a Twitter feed.
Oh my god.
And they're like, it's happening everywhere. It's not just New York. Blah 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 blah. And it's like some fire kind of virus.
Oh,
Cronmir's curse, maybe.
jeez.
Is like has like swept. There's like no one can get signal through. Nothing. It's basically the end of the world. And Walter goes like, "Eh." And she looks at Walter and she goes, "You picked which apocalypse you want." Like all their conversations about it, and then you kind of realize it's like the artist, the mathematician, it's like the last people of the society, kind of.
And those are actually their jobs, like
yeah, it's like who they are and stuff like that. And he's just like, "Hey, strap in, you guys can't leave."
Whoa!
I was like, "Oh shit!
Holy shit!"
It's crazy. He's like, "This is the last place there is."
How did he know? What the fuck?
I know. I've so many questions. How did he do it? Did he do it? Is he like, oh, no, sorry. I'm missing a huge part of this. Oh, fuck. I'm missing a huge part of this. One of the things in the feed is like, there's something behind the fire. Look behind the fire. And as Walter is like, I wanted you all here. This is the last place there is. Don't want to have to tell you too much about what my kind are going to do to your world.
What?
One person tries to take a swing at him with a fire poker and he like morphs around it.
Holy
and
shit.
He's just like, yeah, get to know each other. Food's in the fridge. And he kind of like walks away.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. It's
Jesus.
I was like chills. I was like, what?
Oh my god!
And I was like, I'm going to get this in trade. I'm too late to just be getting.
Yeah.
I'm getting trades of this. I was like, holy shit, that's incredible.
Yeah, I want the trade now. Fuck, that's awesome.
Just wait till you read, and like the art is incredible. It's so it's written by James Tynan IV, and the art is
James is great.
Alvaro Martinez Bueno and Jordi Belair.
God, we need to get fucking Tynan on here.
Yeah.
We need to try to get Tynan on here.
But yeah, insane book. You're gonna lose your shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, shit. This isn't as good as that.
Yeah, I got fucked, Hill House.
Jesus. Yeah. So this is the first. This is my first like Hill House book that I've read. There was a basket full of heads, and this is refrigerator full of heads.
Right. And so this one is all Kyle Rayner's girlfriend.
Yeah. No. So apparently there is a vague connection to basket and refrigerator, but only like the last page of.
Okay. I don't think I know even basket.
I don't really even know them either, but I was told that it doesn't matter.
Sure.
And this was the superior one, I think.
Right.
But this one is not written by Joe Hill. It's just his imprint. His imprint of the Black Label.
Yeah.
But it's like Rio Ewers, Tom Fowler, and Bill Crabtree. So, so it starts out. It's very cinematic. It's kind of cool. It feels like a bit like Quentin Tarantino-y kind of. It starts basically. They're like before in 1983. And it starts with this these robbers, like people in like masks and like leather jackets are breaking into this old person's house,
right.
and they're like they're like shoving a gun in this guy's face, and they're like, yeah, like time for your fucking rude awakening, get the fuck up. And so he's trying to play dumb, but he's old. And suddenly you realize that it's like this big giant house, and they're pulling everybody out from their rooms. And there's like a bunch of different like robbers, and they're all pulling everybody out by gunpoint and bringing them out of the house.
Right.
And so once they get everybody in this sort of big room, and you see like on the walls everywhere, there's lots of like framed like artwork and a lot of like Nordic artwork. Sure. And like axes and swords are sort of like everywhere. Like clearly like these person's a collector of like antiquities of like Nordic like Vikings and stuff like that.
Right.
And they're like where the fuck is it? And they're just like, I don't know what you're talking about. They're like, where's the fucking dagger? Like, you know what we're talking about. And so they're like, the young guy, there's like probably the son of the old guy from the very first panel comes up, and he's just like, He's like you're wasting your time. Like all of this stuff only has value for museums. Like you're never gonna be able to resell it. And they like punch him in the fucking face, and they're like, shut the fuck up. And they're gonna go blow his fucking brains out. And the old guy goes, don't worry, like I got this.
Right.
So he opens up a safe, pulls out this dagger, and it's the dagger of Fenrir.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And he's basically just like, yeah, it's made from this fucking like the tooth of this giant thing, and and they're basically like, apparently it's supposed to, if you even a poke from this will leave a victim in a catatonic state, bound inside of their own body. They're like, but it's probably a bunch of horse shit. But we got to try it out, don't we? So he fucking stabs the old guy with it, and he goes into a catatonic state, and it definitely works. And so they're just like, oh shit, this thing works. And just as that happens, the son grabs one of the swords off the thing, goes to attack them, and they take like a sawed-off shotgun, and literally you see it just like fully blow this guy's fucking brains apart.
Oh Jesus!
Like the frame, like it's so visceral, like.
Oh fuck.
Yeah. They like literally blow his fucking brains out. And so then the next panel is literally just everybody got their fucking like just everyone gets completely blown up and destroyed and dies. The cops show up and they're very much just like, it's weird, all of these people got murdered, only one thing was opened and nothing else was taken. That's weird. And they're like, oh, also, why did this guy draw this weird Viking symbol on the ground in his blood just as he was dying? And they're like, I guess we'll need to figure that out. So then it flashes forward.
That's somebody else's problem.
Yeah. Flashes forward a year. And we get this like younger couple who are driving out to this like random like small island town.
Right.
And they're staying at this old cabin, and they meet the guy who owns it, and he's just basically like, hey, like, welcome, like, why did you guys say that you were coming here anyways? And they're like, oh, well, like, my wife here, she's a writer, wants to finish the rest of her book. And they start talking about sort of like, hey, this is this great place. You can take this boat if you want. I've got this, like, great boat that you guys can borrow. It's got all the, like, things you might need, scuba diving gear, all this other stuff. You guys can have a ton of fun. It's even got an old refrigerator. It's full of beer and bait. Like, it's got everything you guys would need. And he's like, cool. The husband's like, hey, like, is there anywhere to get food around here? I saw this place called the Essex as I was driving in, and the guy's like, don't go to the Essex. He's like,
there hasn't been an Essex around here.
No, he's just like, it's full of a bunch of fucking like degenerate bikers.
Right.
He's like, especially after we lost our detective, like our chief of police last year, we've got this new chief, and he just fucking hangs out at the Essex getting drunk all day.
Right.
He's like, just don't fucking go there. It's a piece of shit. Go to my buddy's place. It's much, much better. Also, there's a killer shark.
Oh, buried the lead.
Yeah, he ate
on land.
No, like in the water. They're like, there's also this killer shark who like ate the last police chief.
Good Lord.
It's out for blood. So just be careful. Bikers and sharks. That's the thing you need to be concerned about.
Wow.
So immediately then you see the couple and they're at the Essex. And the guy is like,
heed the warnings.
Yep. No, and then he starts. He's writing out the license plates of all of the bikes outside, which doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
And the biker's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm just an enthusiast. I'm just taking notes." And he's like, "Fuck your notes." He's like, "You're writing down license plate numbers. Like, why would you do that?" And so he just starts trying to fight, and they just get into a huge fight. The guy ends up running away, going through the woods. He like runs through the woods and then ends up at a cliff, jumps into the water, and as he's in the water, he sees this like glowing thing in the bottom of the water.
Okay,
nothing to do with the shark. So he sees this this glowing thing. He gets out of the water. The bikers show up again. Just as the bikers are about to catch him, his wife shows up with the truck. He jumps in the truck and they drive away. And as he's driving away, he's like, "There was something in the water, something glowing." And she's like, "Glowing, do you think?" And he's like, "There's only one way to find out." So the next morning, they go and they go scuba diving in the water. And at the bottom of the lake, there's like a bunch of skulls and like a Viking axe that's glowing.
Oh my God.
And he's like, "Look at this. There's no rot on it. And it's like glowing." And she's like, "This is really big. Like this, we cannot let this thing out of our sight." And just as she says that, he's like, "Oh, I think I've got a bite," and the shark shows up and starts attacking them. He then takes the axe and chops the fucking shark's head off.
Jesus.
But
this is all one issue.
Yep. And the shark's head, even though cut off, is still chomping.
Oh.
So they like hang the shark's head up inside of the like where the boat was being kept, and it's still chomping while being hooked up. And that's the end of this issue.
Oh, jeez Louise. Good Lord.
I don't really know what this is about, but it's got my attention.
Interesting. Well, shit.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I like the sort of Norse mythology
I thought you might.
angle.
And I'm like, oh, clearly they're not here to write a book. They're like, this is what they're here for.
Yeah. They know more than they're letting on, and
Yeah, I'm wondering if the like titles of these actually don't have anything to do with the titles, like the refrigerator full of heads and basket full.
Yeah, it's maybe more of just like a brand.
Yes, that's kind of what I'm wondering, because I'm like, this has nothing to do with that, and it seems a little early. Like, and it also feels more spooky than what the story is really so far.
That would track though, I think.
Yeah.
Especially if it's just trying to like trade on a previous thing, like the basket kind of,
yeah. But yeah, that was a classic horror and a little bit of modern stuff that's going on. But
pretty cool. Again, I don't think necessarily for either of us our go-to genre.
No, I'm
but
loving
you've definitely
it.
been like, I think as you see things in comic book shops, you've been going for these genre things, and picking them up. Which is cool because they are kind of like weirder things to have. They're kind of fun things for a collection.
That's the stuff that I always tell like comic like store owners is they're like, what are you looking for? And I'm like, I'm looking for like weird stuff. I'm looking for sort of like lower tier stuff, like not your big sort of like Justice Leaguers. Like, give me the weird shit. That's sort of what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And so they usually will lead me towards stuff, and then based on I like what ifs. I like the sort of like anthology series stuff, and so they'll be like, oh, if you like that, then you might like this. That's how I ended up getting directed towards the Marvel's Dark Ages series that's going on right now, which has been really, really cool. A bit of a what if story. So yeah, I mean, it's one, like, talk with your comic book store owners because they give good recommendations.
Yeah.
So, but I'm loving this sort of like horror stuff. I want more of the witching hours. I just lost an eBay thing for them.
I am fully sold on Nice House on the Lake.
Holy shit.
I'm just in. I'll probably read it online and get the trade is probably what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. That's insane.
It was wild.
I had no idea.
It was really good.
I'm fully on board. Another horror thing that I'm into is the Truth Department. It's not really horror, but it's like sci-fi.
Oh, Department of Truth, yeah.
Department of Truth, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that one's good.
It's really, really good. I just bought the second volume today.
I also need to get on, again, maybe not horror, but the Something is Killing the Children.
Yeah.
Which might also be Tynan.
He's good.
Yeah.
Nothing finer than Tynan.
Wow. We're going to wine and
dine. All right. Let us know.
I read this and then I quickly came over here so I Tynan dashed.
It's time for you to leave. If you
it's Old Legs Tyne.
All right, you're done. It's time for you to stop. If any of you residents are into...
If you're a friend of him in Rome,
Jesus
you're probably
Christ.
on the Palatine Hill.
Wow. Jesus Christ. Are you elongated, man? Because that was a stretch. Is there any horror books you're into?
If you only eat with a fork,
you're
Tynan.
Jesus Christ. Let us know what you're reading. Or is there any sort of spooky stuff that you were doing for Halloween? Any books that you're into that you are enjoying that are along these? Have you read any of the like classic horror stuff? Is there any books that you guys recommend in regards to those old ones? But also like Basketful Heads. Is that good? Refrigerator. Is anybody else reading that that stuff? Yeah. Tell us no. Tell us now.
He found a way to like automate his writing process.
Jesus Christ.
Sort of inspired by H.G. Wells. He called it the Time Machine.
Jesus Christ. Ciao, ciao.
Adios.
All the superheroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.